Okay, welcome to week number 2 of Finding a Better Job. This self-reliance class is now officially in session. Week 1 was about owning your job and taking responsibility for your career advancement. We also spent some time thinking about whether you need a better job or whether you need to make your current situation better by changing your attitude. Ultimately, I hope that you came to the realization that even if you really do need a better job and you need to make that transition, you need to put in the work to get a better job right now, you can see the benefits of changing your attitude and thinking long term, even where you are right now, as opposed to just desperately just focusing on the next step, right? You need to practice some present state of mind, wherever you are, whether you don't have a job, whether you're in a job situation that you're not happy with. Um, there is opportunity for you at this time. You're here and now for a reason, and there's something for you to learn in this process. Week number 2 of this course is focused on setting expectations for your job search. So, anyone who has gone through Education for Better Work, which is the self-reliance class before this one, knows what I'm about to talk about, which is companies and clients hire people who provide value. It's important to understand that in the job market today, your contribution to the company that you apply for is unknown. They don't know anything about you. It's important to learn skills and network with others, but it's going to take time, and it's going to take convincing a hiring manager of your value to get hired. A couple ways that happens in the remote work setting, and in some industries, even if it's not a remote job, it can take this form as well. You initially apply, you send in an application, send in a resume, whatever it may be, and they screen you, right? The HR department, the recruiter, whoever is going to screen the applicants. And they may do this a multitude of ways. They may have a software that assists them. And so your application and your resume have to be aligned with the job that you're hiring for. It has to have keywords, and those keywords are not a mystery. They are in the job description. Something we talked about in Education for Better Work and our tactical resume builder is that companies tell you exactly what they want out of a role that they're hiring for. And so studying and analyzing the job description and incorporating all the elements of the job description into your resume and your application is the first best way to get through that initial screening. Of course, then when you talk to a real person, you have to be ready to convey and demonstrate the value that you would provide to that company or to a client. Then, once you're passed off to a hiring manager, the decision maker, it's even more important that you can communicate with them, that you know what you're talking about. But ultimately, they're not looking for someone who knows it all. for someone who's the quote unquote perfect candidate. I know it may seem that way. They're just looking for someone with the right attitude and the right necessary minimum requirements for the job. Hopefully, in entry-level jobs, they're looking more for attitude as opposed to experience or only education. But I digress. Now, I want to tell a story that goes back to my days as an operations manager, when I would regularly hire and train new team members on our team. I was the manager of a small business. Okay. So no HR department, no fancy software to screen out applicants. Most of the time, people would just walk into the business and apply for a job. They'd ask for a paper application. They would ask how to apply for a job. They may want to talk to me, the manager, and that way they put a face to the name, so on and so forth. But a young man walked in one day and he inquired about the job in person. And I actually started onboarding him. As I would do, I would say, I like to give people a chance to learn about the job on their first day of work. And we'll only know if it is a good fit after you see what we do and we see what you're capable of. So come in tomorrow, complete some necessary paperwork, and we'll get you on the work schedule. And he effectively got hired on the spot. And some of those of you who are listening, you think, man, if only I could walk into a place, or if I could just meet somebody one time and get hired, right? But this young man, he did not inquire about the pay. He didn't inquire about any aspects of the job. I'm there telling him, hey, I don't really do interviews. I want to see what people are capable of. I want to see, can they turn around and show up on time for the next day, right? So I was testing him and his commitment and his punctuality, his abilities, right? The things that I needed from a team member in this setting. Little context, this was a restaurant. And so the importance of people showing up on time, people being able to be flexible with a schedule, but also people who can do the work once they get to work, right? Whatever that work may entail. Because in a restaurant, you do everything. You greet customers, you serve customers, you make the food, you do the dishes, you clean the store, everything, right? So I was qualifying him, but he didn't qualify anything about his would-be employer. Okay. That's an aside. He returned the next day, and I prepared a place in my office for him to fill out his paperwork and employment documentation. Okay. Which was, and I'm sure is the case with many, if not all places around the world, employment verification documentation is a must before people get started, right? For legal reasons. And he started doing that paperwork. And on that paperwork I had prepared, it had his hourly rate, his pay rate. And at this point, he told me that he needed a job that paid more, and he left. Now, this young man, as I've alluded to, made a few mistakes in his job search. He didn't do his due diligence, which is the first thing. He didn't ask any qualifying questions about the job for which he was inquiring. You need to ask the right questions to determine if a job is worth your time and effort, even considering applying for. I know that many people would say that, I'll take any job off the bat. But sometimes that initial investment of time and energy that you put into a single job may be better spent looking for a better job. I think we've talked about that over this last week. Next, his next mistake, and this is somewhat harsh at first, you may think, but he brought nothing to the table. He didn't sell himself to me and negotiate a higher starting pay rate, nor did he provide any resume or portfolio to show he could actually do the job. You see what's offered, and then based on your skills and your abilities, your experience, whatever they may be, even if you don't have any formal education or industry experience, you have transferable skills which you can use to potentially negotiate that higher rate of pay. There's different contract, different terms of your employment. And we talk a lot about that more in Education for Better Work, but we're going to, at the end of this presentation, we're going to talk about this week's homework, which will help you really take that to the next level. Okay. And finally, he misunderstood the job market. He expected to receive value from his employer rather than providing value. Okay. The next concept I'm going to share with you is going to surprise some of you, which is your salary has nothing to do with job performance or the expected job performance. The base salary of your job is based on the budget of the company. Okay, they have a set range for the position that you're applying for. And candidates who show more upfront potential value to the employer are awarded a higher starting salary. But it has nothing to do with your actual job performance. Performing very well at your job should be rewarded with bonuses and pay raises. So don't try to negotiate salary on how hard you will work. Instead, negotiate salary based on how much you already know, which is your expertise. If you understand this, you can negotiate higher salaries and additional incentive like bonuses and compensation options, so on and so forth. Okay. Now, oh, excuse me. I went too far. Your first priority. This is something that we're going to talk about each week. And the reason being, it has to be something at the forefront of your mind, not only for these 6 weeks that we take this course, but it really has to be an enduring philosophy that you take with you into your job search and your career into the future. And that is remembering that your first priority is to become self-reliant and take care of your family, yourself and your family. And on the subject of priorities, in this course, you've been given those 2 steps for finding a better job. One is to do a great job at your current place of work or whatever work that you're doing. So do a great job at work. And number 2 is let everyone know about it. This is increasing your perceived upfront value to an employer and to the marketplace of labor. So this week's homework, which you will be able to find on our Grounded Leader Academy site that was shared with all of you last week via email. You'll be receiving another email at the end of this class this class presentation with an updated link. Well, it's the same link. So if you have the last week's link bookmarked, you can get to the same place. But I'm going to be sending out something every week at the end of the class to everyone, and that way they get all of the information. You'll want to access the training module titled Portfolio Career Action Plan. And again, it's not going to be in a Google Drive folder. It is actually going to be on the Google site. You want to make a copy of that document and complete the activity, and then email or share it with me for credit. And then, of course, our ongoing strategic networking activity, you want to continue to apply the 15-10-2 method, which was discussed in week 1. And if you have additional questions, there's also going to be a presentation or a tutorial of how to use that as well, available on my LinkedIn profile. And it's going to be available on the website in the near future. Right. So that completes week number 2, at least the presentation part of week number 2, which is Know Your Value. Next week, we're going to focus on the continuing improvement, continual learning aspect of job preparation, which is to never stop learning. But now we get to the part of the class where we have about 10 minutes left over. Any question and answer that we can provide, any questions that you may have about what was discussed today or something that you've experienced this last week, the floor is now yours. Okay, well, no questions today. Of course, I'm always available on LinkedIn and also available by email if any of you have questions that come up over time. Again, I'm here to support you during these 6 weeks. And though we do have a question that just came through the chat, do we need to submit the assignments somewhere? So the assignments that you complete, you'll want to make a copy or share those assignments with me via email. So, for example, real quickly, we'll come over here and just give a quick, brief tutorial of how to do that. Bear with me for just a moment while I switch screens. Okay, so going to the Grounded Leader Academy website, or the Google site that we have set up. Again, under the Home tab, you go to Finding a Better Job, class resources, which you'll see that there's already week 2 right there. And so, for example, there is a little additional learning that you can do. It's a where, when, and how you will lead in 2023 and beyond, because now we're in 2024. There's a script and also a presentation. The assignment is right here, the portfolio career action plan. And if you click that, you're taken over to the actual Google document. However, you won't be able to do anything to this document because it's a shared document. So you come up to File and you want to make a copy. And then you'll include your name and perhaps week 2. So week 2 and your name. And that way I know what week you're submitting the assignment for, and also your name so that you receive credit. And then you'll make a copy. And then that way you'll be able to edit the document. Once you complete the assignment, you will come up here to share. And if you jump up to share, you can actually then share it with a person, actually the email address of the person, which is for me, groundedleaderacademy@gmail.com. And so you'll want to do that to submit your homework assignments. So hopefully that was clear. Perfect. Okay. Well, of course, as questions arise, please feel free to reach out to me again by email or on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the fastest response time for me because, of course, I just have it up on my phone with notifications turned on at all times. Email, because there are more competing voices on email, more competing tasks. It may take longer for me to get back to you simply because I receive more emails than I do on LinkedIn. So I really appreciate everyone who took the time to attend in person, and also to those who are watching this recorded version. And good luck in your efforts this week, and we will see you next week. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.